What do you have to say about the Occupy movement?
I think that it was a calculated move to not have central leadership that would be able to be decapitated and then taken apart and to make the movement lose power. But I think that at some point there has to be some strong amount of leadership at some of these to be able to put into perspective and to help the people and direct the people who are addicted to drugs, who are coming here to sell drugs, people who are homeless who need extra care, people who have a mental illness, because otherwise we're playing the same gambit, or we're receiving the same gambit that Castro played with the United States during the Mariel Lift, where he said, okay, you want the people who are political activists who are clamoring for democracy, you can take everybody in prison too. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, because when the criticisms come here of, oh, you know, it's just homeless people, you know, there's interesting things to point out. Like, yeah, homeless people, like the people who lost their homes because of predatory loans that were given to them, because of banks that illegally seized their property. Oh, they're just drug addicts. Yeah, America is conveniently allowing the Occupy movement to be the representation of all the things that they've swept under the rug, all the problems that they've swept under the rug. And people are here are trying to hold on for dear life, trying to deal with those problems and politically organizing. It makes it twice as hard, twice as difficult. I mean, I think I've seen successes in some places, and I've seen places where people are trying to struggle to succeed in others. This in Occupy Seattle, I think, is a unique situation because it's with the university rather than, or I should say more with the university than with the city. Although I think the city at some point is going to get involved if the university and the Occupy camp get into a more volatile situation than there is now. I think that there should be a lot more communication in between the different occupies in the city. You know, I think a lot of people are reaching out to that, and they're not getting as much response and communication as possible. And I think that needs to happen a lot more. New York, Miami, Seattle, Oakland. You know, there are some places that are so politically charged and politically activated that even the individuals who are on drugs get smacked up and cleaned up for a day. Like, oh, I don't want to get up. Well, it's not about what you want, homie. You know, this is not just a riot in the street. It's supposed to be a movement. Oh, well, now you're being oppressive. You're telling me, okay, you know what? I have the right to smoke a cigarette if I want to over there. But I don't have the right to come over and blow it in your face, do I? No, I don't. I have the right to hang out in my house and watch porn and masturbate if I want to. I don't have the right to smash your fucking door in while you're having Sunday dinner, jerk off on your mom's table. No. You can't just do what you want all the time to other people. You have to respect other people's freedom too. That's the thing about freedom. It's not just your freedom that you have to respect and also keep in mind. It's other people's freedom. So when you're at an Occupy site and you're selling drugs, you gotta go. Like I saw that in Baltimore, where literally the Occupy had brought a council of leadership together from people from all walks of life that I could identify with it. Very different to what you'll find in a jury, where people are not brought together and judged by a jury of their peers. You know, they're not judged by people who might know what it's like to be so poor that you might have to take something from the store. Or no, damn, yo, you never had fucking 4 kids and not knowing what to do with yourself. At some point, you have to factor in the humanity to the situation. But they stood up and they said, no, you were using meth here. You were selling some of it. You have to pack your tent and you have to go. There were some tears, there was some complaining, but the community came together. If the community does not come together to help the people who are in those dire situations, because they don't need incarceration, they need help, they need aid, then we're not going to get nearly the amount of results that we want from this movement. And it'll keep dwindling until people see it more as a public nuisance than they do as a revival of democracy that it started out being.
What do you have to say to people that like don't understand? Like they're like, why are you guys here? What are you doing? How is it going to do anything? Like it's not making a difference. That is so frustrating to me.
I think at some point it's already made a difference. You know, it's already awakened people, even at the highest levels of government, that there is a problem in the country, because they seem to think there was no problem. And if there was a problem, then it was only something that was cosmetic as opposed to fundamental about the economic system here. I mean, even the fact that it's being commented on by some of the most right-wing conservatives, the most left-wing liberals, shows the scale that it is. The fact that it's remained in the news this long. The problem is that it cannot become a sideshow, you know? It has to remain a platform with a message, with more communication, with more interworking, with more solidarity from one side of the country to the other.
Word. Is there anything else you want to say?
Just that I'm proud to be here in Occupy Seattle. I always try to come, you know, people tell me, oh, you should come for the GAs, and I'm like, I'm not from here, so it would be kind of imposing for me to tell people what they should do in their local communities, although, you know, I can have some idea of what's going on, but at the same time, I like to come here and see it, you know, when it's not camera time. I like to show up when people aren't expecting it, so I can see the actual individuals that live here, you know, before they get their drums on for the camera, before, even though there are people drumming there. So I would say that what I've seen so far are people that are struggling to really address the problems that the federal government has swept under the table, and the people that the federal government has swept under the table. So if there are any criticisms that they can give the people of the movement here, then the system has to share in them, because their failure is a part of that.
Cool.
Immortal Technique, Occupy Seattle. Peace.